Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It's me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here today not by our friend Paul Pratt. He is away on assignment doing very important NWA things. It's our very good friend, Issa. Issa, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
You must have liked me on Tuesday. You brought me back.
Yeah, Issa, I was like, hey, let's do this again. Let's run it back. We had fun on Tuesday. Let's see if we can have some fun here on Thursday, right?
On St. Patrick's Day, even though I called you out, and somehow you pulled out that beautiful green bow tie.
Yes, Issa is working on St. Patrick's Day, and I don't want to get pinched by anybody, so I had to quickly find something that was green, and of course, I have a neon green bow tie sitting amongst all the novelties on my shelves behind me. So
I was impressed. I was like, you're not wearing any green, and you're like, hold up. I was like, wow.
I didn't even need to move. I live in like Belle's dad's house from Beauty and the Beast. I'm like a cantankerous old engineer with a bunch of just stuff laying around. You all right? Something fall
Yeah,
over?
I'm good.
Okay.
There's some commotion in the kitchen, apparently.
You flinched. I genuinely thought something was wrong. So yeah, Paul's not here. Issa's here. I'm here. You're here. Jump in the chat room wherever you're at. YouTube, Facebook. Mike here saying he's missing baby Yorkshire Terrier Roman. I don't know if the dog's
He's taking a nice nap after his meal right now. So
cool. Leave the dog alone. All right. Adam Yarborough. Hello, Nick and Issa. Hi. Thanks for coming in. Melissa here looks to be spamming us. Block. Wonderful. If you needed a job, there was a link there. There were job opportunities, 16 to 35 an hour, but guess what? Nobody's getting them now. We're going to have a great show here today. We're going to talk all the news in just a little bit. Later on, you're going to get to hear my latest interview. I talked to two people at the same time, like a juggling routine. Doc Gallows, Rocky Romero, both in the house. They got a brand new animated NFT series produced by Mila Kunis that we're going to talk
about. Oh, wow.
It's a lot of words, right?
Yeah.
A lot of weird words. I told her before the interview, I was like, this is like a Mad Lib. It's not really, it doesn't sound like a real thing, you know?
I'm going to have to watch the interview just to see if you screw it up at any point.
Yeah. I don't botch it. I don't have a complete brain fart like I did in the middle of the Billy Gunn one. This one's good. A lot of New Japan AEW talk as well, so stick around for that. At the end of the show for everybody, we'll dive in the mailbag. We're going to look at WrestleMania 38. What are you excited about? Let's have a little talk about it. Let's get to it. News you can use, news that'll leave a bruise. We're going to start with some good news for some people who have jobs now. The latest WWE Performance Center class has been announced. 14 hopefuls have reported to the Performance Center as of Monday to begin training. It includes 2 wrestlers who have already been on NXT 2.0, Fallon Henley, Kayla Inley. Other familiar names in the class are Rok-C, indie wrestler Nikita Knight, indie wrestler Jake Tucker, Santino Marella's daughter, Bianca Corelli, indie wrestler Cole Carter, indie wrestler Notorious Mimi, and then, of course, there's a couple other just pro athletes with college backgrounds that we don't really know that much about, but we will get to. What's your thoughts about the latest class here, Issa?
I love seeing Rok-C as part of the class. That's the first face that I noticed right away. I have to say, this class looks solid. It brought me back to the days where you would see these pictures and you were like, oh my God, I know some of these people, right? There was like a class or two there where you were like, I'm not too familiar, but there was some faces that we've heard or seen. Yeah. So I'm very excited. I'm always happy to see people get jobs. A lot of people do dream of being in WWE. This is their dreams, coming through. I like to see it. We'll see where they go. NXT 2.0 has been growing on me. They are doing a good job at getting people that we weren't familiar with over. So, you got to keep it going. It is a developmental brand after all.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. It's a lot. I'm excited by a lot. Rok-C, obviously, I'm very excited for. In general, it just seems like the women are the standouts here as part of this class, and not surprising.
Yes, I heard a lot about Mimi as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Notorious Mimi is great, and Santino Marella's daughter, I know he's been talking her up forever. So I'm really excited to see what she. In general, it's a good time. I feel like this is it's a feel good moment for women's wrestling. I guess we should have let off with the Thunder Rosa news, right? Like Thunder Rosa.
Oh my God.
Thunder Rosa
now the
AEW Women's Champion after this like brutal steel cage match last night on Dynamite. Great moment there. I love the mariachi band that played beforehand and everything in San Antonio, no less. I felt like I was down on the boardwalk. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Yes, it was. She had that entrance and the energy from the second she came out. It was that I'm about to win this title energy to her as soon as she came out. I love the mariachi band. I love the confetti. The moment just felt like a big deal. I wasn't a fan of their match at Revolution, but I feel like it was worth waiting for this because it happened in San Antonio and it felt so much more meaningful to her. I didn't like the match as much as I liked their lights out match. I did think there was a couple of spots that were rushed. I know they were running out of time. But outside of that, it was still a pretty brutal, enjoyable match. It's just like these women set the bar up here last year. It's like, where do you go from there? There's not a whole lot they can do after a lights out match.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's interesting that they did the Revolution match, right? Like Tony Khan is usually pretty good about like building to moments, letting the moments happen. It was a pay-per-view match, but it wasn't the end. It was like building to a TV match. It was just very weirdly placed. The energy on that one, I agree, was very, very odd.
They could have gone somewhere different and given Britt Baker an opponent that she could have just beaten. There's so many people involved in that storyline. You have Mercedes Martinez, Jamie Hayter. I feel like you could have done something else at Revolution, then done the number one contender match after, and then you would have done this, and that match at Revolution would have not hurt the record because out of the three, Revolution's definitely, my least favorite one.
Well, and the other thing I felt while I was watching the cage match last night was, maybe it's just there's like something going on with like the more veteran names in the industry right now. But I feel like a lot of vets talking about like how worried they are more often about wrestlers and things like that. And I don't know if it's like getting in my head or anything, but I was watching this cage match and it felt like, man, they were doing some stuff that was really, really, it's violent, and we just saw the thumbtack spot in the CM Punk MJF match way over the top all that thing. And we've seen the thumbtacks thing a lot. Did we need the thumbtack spot, right? Did we need to see them crack chairs repeatedly? Like, I wonder, it does seem like AEW is moving in a very violent direction.
The thumbtacks ended up being no sold almost. I think the only out of last night's match, the one spot that I took away thumbtack wise, sorry, I bumped the table, was when she smashed Britt's hand onto the thumbtacks. That actually I thought seemed pretty efficient. Outside of that, when she powerbombed Britt onto the thumbtack, she just rolled right out and gave her a chair shot. That's when I was like, you should have just sold that just a couple of seconds longer. Like, you just landed on thumbtacks. So I had a little bit of issues with that. And I did think the blood came a little too soon. Like, they were bleeding within 10 seconds into the match. Like, wait, what?
Look, and part of me also, and I feel bad too, because like, I don't want to say that it's because it's women, it's hard to watch, or they shouldn't be doing this. Because like, would I be saying this if it was Moxley and Danielson? I don't know, but I mean, I think the timing of the thumbtack stuff coming off of Revolution, how much kind of violent stuff we've been seeing. I don't know if it was just because of the timing. I'm just like, guys, what are we doing? Like, this is a TV match right now. I get that it's a big title match and stuff, but do we need to be killing each other like this to tell stories week in and week out?
I think it's related to what I mentioned earlier, which is like when you start with a lights out match between the two of them, they have to sit back there and be like, how can we try to outdo that? You can't. So just go out there. And the moment was big. To me, the takeaway was just the mariachi entrance and seeing Thunder Rosa finally get her moment was more important than the match. So they could have just had a couple of brutal spots, but it didn't need to be all out, especially when I saw it was starting at 9:40. I was like, they're not going to get a lot of time for this match. They're going to have to get right into it because with the entrances and everything, I think that I don't know the time of the length officially of the match, but I figured they were going to try to do too much in a short period of time.
They have so much to put on 2 hours of TV each. Like, I
know
the Hardy Boys last night was just like a thing that happened, right? Which was cool, but how do the Hardys immediately just feel like, oh, they're in AEW, right? I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I'm with you on that.
And then watching William Regal and John Moxley and Bryan Danielson, I'm like, wow, they have a real embarrassment of riches right now with like how many big stars they have. And I loved the segment with Wheeler Utah with where William Regal cracked him when he tried to join the group. That was unexpected. I thought it was great.
I did say all I want to see is William Regal slap people randomly, and I'm kind of getting that. I like that, but you're right. This show is so full of the roster is so loaded right now, and it's so full of stars that you're mentioning things that I'm like, oh my god, I forgot that even happened on the same show. Started loaded, ended loaded, which is not a bad complaint. I do think the last few AEW episodes just fly by, and sometimes you even miss. We didn't even talk about MJF taking Wardlow's, title opportunity for him. I love that moment too. Wardlow is so over, but these shows are just so packed with so many things that it's hard to kind of digest it.
Here's my thing about the MJF Wardlow thing. All right, if we're just gonna go off on an unscripted AEW tangent, which I'm totally fine with, but like I liked it. It plays well, but there's got to be ways to tell these stories that don't involve your referees looking like dipshits every single time.
Oh my god.
It is embarrassing. Like that.
Did we just become best friends, Nick? Because I talk so much about the AEW referees just trigger me.
They're like you could, I don't like injure him before the match, before the bell rings and he goes into it like hobbled or like, maybe there's a fluke in the match that Scorp like comes up with. And then after the match, MJF, but like the fact that, because, when they talk about how there's been so few DQ, finishes in AEW,
I thought that was a time to call one. I personally thought that was a time to call one. I mean, good for Scorpio Sky to get the pin, but you're gonna pin Wardlow, probably your most over baby face right now. I didn't like that.
I get it. If you want to do clean finishes and find ways to get into those clean finishes, you could do that. But if every time you are in a position where you can't quite figure it out, and the answer is the ref's just going to look away for a minute and you're going to do all the DQ stuff and then the referee comes back and then you get your quote clean finish. Is that a clean finish? I would argue not a clean finish, right?
I gotta tell you, I know we're unscripted right now, but when they knocked out the referee on the cage match, I was scared. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna let Britt win here, right? They're gonna do the referee thing. For a second, I didn't think that Thunder Rosa was gonna get her moment when they started with shenanigans. I was like, I thought the whole reason for the cage was for none of this to happen.
It's just give me one episode where the ref doesn't get buried as just some dummy who just is willing to just get distracted by butterflies or whatever. Like it bugs me. And again, I don't know if I just know too much and I'm just like looking too deeply into it.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to just watch it as a fan when you're covering it and analyzing it and criticizing it every day, but I don't like the way the referees look in AEW. I've always had that argument.
All right. Well, we're going to talk a little more AEW stuff here at the end of the news block. We'll get back to WWE. We started that tangent talking about their new performance center recruits. Congratulations to them all. I'd also like to congratulate UK WWE fans, as according to WrestleNotes, WWE is going to take one of their premium live events to the UK on September 3rd at Principality Stadium in Cardiff. It's interesting that they have that date reserved with the location and name to be announced. But it looks like plans have changed. And they're going to go with this Saturday date, Labor Day weekend, which should run head-to-head with AEW's All-Out pay-per-view. Now, WWE has not held a UK stadium show since SummerSlam 1992 from Wembley, which, of course, was headlined by Bret Hart and the British Bulldog for the IC title in one of the greatest WWE matches of the 90s, arguably.
Mm-hmm.
So, even if it wasn't technically a classic, felt big. Very exciting news here. And, it is interesting they're going head-to-head with AEW, but it's not going to be at the same time. This will be at, like, noon in the States, and then AEW will be at night. It's whatever,
Yeah, and who cares what weekend? Who cares what day? I get it. Maybe some people see it as petty. I'm just happy for the UK fans. Yeah. I always, we have so many, in the chat, Wrestling Inc., my own chat on my channel, these fans, what they have to deal with to watch these shows live, especially pay-per-views. I give them props all the time. I'm like, I can't complain about going to bed late after Revolution. These people didn't even sleep, so I'm excited. that they're finally getting one. The fan base is so huge, and the energy that they bring to the shows. You know, when they're in the UK, I remember that NXT takeover in the UK, one of my favorites because of the energy from the crowd. So I just can't wait to see it. I literally can't wait. It's gonna be so much fun. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, 100%. And thank you so much to our UK contributors at Wrestling Inc., by the way, as well, who work weird hours for us at normal hours for me and are readily available to write at night and cover things. And Danny, Matthew, you are appreciated. Thank you both. Always, yeah. And, you know, it'll be a cool day for wrestling fans, too, right? You get to start your day in the afternoon, watch this WWE UK pay-per-view, and then get to end your day watching All Out later on. That's going to be a fun day for wrestling fans. That'd be cool.
It is a fun day. I wonder if any of us from here are going to try to go to it. That's always been something. I've always say one of my wrestling bucket list items is getting a passport stamp for a wrestling event. So stay tuned. You never know if this might be it.
I've gone to Canada for shows, but I don't think they stamp me. They may have. But that's it. That's not exotic.
See, I haven't got. I got stamps on my passport for my own, traveling adventures. But for a wrestling one, I saw that this morning, and I'm like, am I skipping all out for the UK?
Oh, you may have put a nugget in my brain now. Maybe that's a bucket.
Nick, we're gonna be having beers on the other side of the pond together.
Yeah, Stellar.
No, Raj is gonna be like, no, one of you have to go to All Out, so he's gonna make us pick.
Well, I'm gonna be that one. I'll probably be the one that has to go to All Out. But yeah, that'd be dope. But Stellar Justin Lopez saying, "Damn, I like challenges," and that sounds like a challenge, and that's a great wrestling challenge.
It is, because think about it. Like, once you become a fan for so long and you've done so many things, like, oh, I want to go to WrestleMania, I want to do this, I want to do that. I want to see The Undertaker. Your bucket list gets smaller and smaller. The one thing I haven't done is a passport stamp for wrestling.
Man, I don't really know what my bucket list is anymore for, like, fandom.
I know.
The next thing I want to do in wrestling is referee a match. I've never reffed a match.
Oh, it'll be amazing. Nope. My dog does not agree with you. He doesn't want to see you there.
Yeah, well, whatever. That dog can bite me, and it probably Roman, the big dog, can bite me. So
he said, "I'll rep that match better than you."
I feel like this is building towards a match with Roman, and I won't get to ref that, and so bad booking. I've done it. I've done a lot of things. I've never refereeing super hard because you got to go up and down the whole time.
And you're the one keeping track of the match, of everything going on. I think I give respect to a lot of referees, not AEW ones, but
managing was easy. You go out there, you just stand and you say negative things, you hit and you kick people, and then occasionally you have to fall down. It's a pretty sweet game.
Right. Yeah, you have to have like a bucket list for what you want to do as a journalist, as somebody that's covering it. But you also have to have your your fun things you want to do. You got to think about that, Nick.
I just want to get drunk with Steve Austin. I feel like that's like
that's everybody's bucket list.
I want to get drunk with Steve. Right? I'll do that. I'll do the St. Patty's Day. I know he's busy on 316 Day. I'll hit you up on St. Patty's Day. We'll just do JMO shots.
Right, we hung over from 316 Day, though.
Exactly. Got to keep it going, baby. If I wasn't on antibiotics right now, I would be. Oh man. All right. Here's another story. This one's about Vince and former XFL commissioner Oliver Luck. PW Insider saying a meeting on Wednesday afternoon between these two sides, they were unable to yield any progress on a settlement for their current case, though not for lack of trying. They spoke for 5 hours in an attempt to settle this dispute. Oliver Luck, Vince McMahon, one room, 5 hours. I'm going to guess there was food, right? Like, I
would hope. I don't know. I don't think Vince McMahon eats.
You think he just sat there, didn't want water, just stared Oliver Luck in the face and was like, you make a move.
I think he's like a robot, non-human person. Yeah, so
it's true. Probably was butt chugging some gasoline. Like
yeah, I feel bad for Luck. He was probably the one just out of energy, starving, and Vince is still going and going.
Please stop, Vince. We're not making. God damn it! You sit. You listen. If we're not going to make a deal, I'm going to tell you about my childhood in that trailer park. So. It is the longest meeting they've had in an attempt to resolve the suit. However, sources said no signs of progress are made. It has been nearly 2 years now since Luck sued the WWE and Vince shortly after the XFL filed for bankruptcy. He's alleging that Vince, his company Alpha Entertainment, owe him $23.8 million on his remaining contract, as well as damages and attorney fees. McMahon then countersued Luck last year in January, alleging Luck abandoned his duties following the cancellation of the season, ignored directives from McMahon for the XFL's talent pool to include quality players with good character. That was in quotes. I guess Luck was getting them right out of the prison system or something. McMahon has also alleged that Luck used his league-issued iPhone for personal matters and that he destroyed evidence on that phone. Federal judge found that Luck erased the browser history on his business iPhone within an hour of being terminated, and the letter telling him to return the phone. Luck was hit with a $25,000 sanction, and information related to exactly what Luck was viewing prior to him erasing the browser history is being kept under seal by the judge until the trial is over. So I'm guessing that the company, the cell phone company, was like, well, that's cool. You erased them on your phone, but the cloud,
Yeah, like, people can still track that, right? Like, they need to come out with some kind of like policy that they give employees about what you can and can't do with these work phones too, right? Because a lot of them say you use them for personal reasons. When I had my corporate job, I remember all I did was work. So yeah, I was using my phone to check like my personal text messages and this and that, because that's just the way that it works. But to feel the need to erase everything, I don't know what he was doing. This is a lot of tea. There's a lot of tea to take in for this story. It feels like they're both on the wrong.
Anything that you had to erase, you should have been doing on your personal phone. It's really
Maybe
probably
not do it at all.
probably like, sorry, Ollie, don't do that on the business phone. Interested to see what plays out there. But yeah, man. And the other thing too is Vince spent 5 hours on Wednesday in this meeting or whatever. Imagine how like that's 5 hours where the creative team just like that was like a snow day for them. They're like, oh, Vince, he's in the room with Oliver Luck. We can do whatever we want. Let's write the good wrestling. How about that?
What if they paid Oliver Luck to keep him in that room for so long so they could get a break?
Oh, I like that conspiracy theory.
Put your tinfoil hat on.
Yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr. doing it for the team. He's the one that's feeding Oliver Luck information in that room.
This whole thing sounds messy to me, Nick, because it's like, why does he owe money when the company filed bankruptcy? And like, these contracts you would assume are not owed anymore, but I don't know. I haven't read these contracts, right? So the whole thing just sounds weird. I just cannot. But when you sent me the run sheet, I was like, oh my God, these lawsuits are still going. I remember hearing about them back when they dissolved the XFL. I had no idea this whole thing was still going on.
I think it was like Luck had signed on for a length of time and he was going to get paid. And then they were like, well, hey, with the company's done, we're going to stop now. You don't get paid anymore on your contract. And it sounds like Oliver Luck then said, by ignoring the directives that the cancellation of the XFL was happening, went out and tried to recruit players that were not of quality or had good character. It sounds like it sounds like a Showtime. Like he sounds like a Showtime, like bumbling Will Arnett character. Like he sounds like.
Yes. And it does says that at some point he abandoned his duties. So it's like, why do they owe you money if you abandon the job? Like the whole thing. Listen, I'm not involved in this, but I read it and I have fun catching up with it because I had no idea it was still going on. We'll see how it goes, but it sounds like somebody's gonna owe somebody a lot of money.
It sounds ridiculous. All right, lastly, before we get to the mailbag, Carton and Roberts had Paige Van Zandt on. She confirmed that even though she is signed to AEW, she's still going to pursue an MMA career. I think she put over bare knuckle fighting is what her primary focus is right now, which sounds crazy barbaric, but I'm told is actually like safer in some ways. So go figure. Any thoughts on Van Zandt trying to balance these two things right now?
I think until we see what she can do, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. Like, why would you stop what you know you're good at and you have a safe career at until you know how good you really are in professional wrestling in AEW? So I don't blame her for keeping her opportunities open, and we'll see how it goes. What if she becomes one of the best women's wrestlers? Like, look, Ronda Rousey took on to wrestling so well. You never know how they're going to do. So, but can you blame her for keeping her opportunities open? And it's more exposure for AEW as well.
I think it's great. And when I think about Paige Van Zandt, especially seeing like how she's taken to wrestling and stuff right now, it is like their Ronda Rousey, right? And I don't want to put her in like a bucket or anything, but like she has the same kind of like obviously not a UFC Hall of Famer, not like movie star Ronda Rousey, but Paige Van Zandt is a name that a lot of people know. I will say anything that we've run on the site of her in an interview has done way better than you would expect. Like way better. There is a huge interest in Paige Van Zandt. And I wonder with like Ronda kind of being like, she's like the anti-Ronda, because like Ronda does kind of disenfranchise with pro wrestling in some ways. Like does feel like maybe she has contractual duties she has to do, right? You know, the people in the back telling her maybe go give high fives and smile, you know, maybe people would like you better. That's not the issue with Paige Van Zandt. Paige Van Zandt seems to really love wrestling and get it.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I don't know. It's just different. I wonder how.
I agree. I feel like she enjoys being there. Where with Ronda, it's from time to time. I feel like Ronda has. Remember Brock before he came back from MMA, where he said he loved wrestling, he hated what came with it. I feel like that's the problem with Ronda.
Yeah. All righty. So I want to thank you so much for joining me at the top of the show, jumping in here today on an hour's notice to make the show happen, reminding me to put on my bright green bow tie so I don't get a word on the site.
What would you do without me? What would you do without me today, Nick?
I would be dead. I would be dead in a van down by the river, like Chris Farley. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. That came out wrong.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Hey, and also thank you to Doc Gallows and Rocky Romero. Always great talking to those guys. I hope you all enjoyed the insight from them. And I know yesterday I said I was going to air that on Friday. The reason I wound up running it today is because our good friend Paul Pratt, who was too cool for school to be here today, managed to get some time with Jeff Jarrett last second. And so I was like, great, we'll bump this up. We'll run you and Jeff on tomorrow to wrap the week. I haven't really had a chance to hear it yet, but I do know Jeff talks about Scott Hall's passing. I know he talks about the NWA stuff this weekend. He talks about feuding with Effie. So I'm very excited to bring that to everybody tomorrow. So come on back for that. And without further ado, let's dive into the mailbag real briefly here. We're going to talk about WrestleMania. We got some big stuff announced for WrestleMania so far. What are you most on the hook for? Is it Brock Roman, Edge, AJ, or Austin on the KO show? 150 votes so far in the last hour. Pretty tight. 34% to Edge AJ, 31.3 to Brock Roman, 27.1 to Austin on the KO show, and 7.6 for everything else. What are you most on the hook for here, Issa?
It's such a close call between Edge and AJ and Brock and Roman, which is why I was so shocked to find out they're on the same night. I thought they would move Edge and AJ to night one because I feel there's the exact same. I mean, if they're going to do Cody and Seth, then put that on night one, right? You have to put one of these big matches on night one. But I got to say, Brock and Roman, this match does feels like a big deal to me. This is two complete different versions of Brock and Roman from what we've seen before. Both titles on the line. My two favorite guys. Okay, yes, I am biased here. But yeah, I'm excited for that. But I got to tell you, Edge and AJ, I'm like right up there with my level of excitement.
I went with our write-in here over on Twitter from official Trevor Zegras. He says Cody and Rollins, and it's not announced yet, but isn't that really the thing everybody's buzzing most about right now? I mean, we've all kind of settled into the Brock Roman stuff. It's cool. We've seen it for a while. Edge AJ, cool. We know it's going to deliver. Banger match. Mm-hmm. But the thing people are like interested in right now, I feel like is the Cody thing. And if it doesn't happen right now, man, people are going to be, I think they'll be upset. I don't know. I don't know what happens if you don't give it to them now, you know?
I don't know either. I just wish I get the element of surprise, or maybe they're just finalizing the details going on. But I really wish we could have gotten to see a proper build-up between your super WWE guy, Seth Rollins, and this guy that left and came back from AEW. Like the promos that these two could have had building up to WrestleMania just could have been insanity. I think there will still be a level of hype no matter how they end up doing it. But I just think, okay, if you're excited about it because of the buzz around it, imagine if it would have been a properly built feud. And after what Seth Rollins did to that leprechaun last night, I don't know if Cody wants to come.
Does Cody return to WWE at WrestleMania? Is he not a part of the build at all in a ring on TV until the show? You think that's possible?
I will return him the Monday before Mania.
You return him the Monday after. I mean, with the dashing and the nightmare
It
comment.
sells tickets. It sells tickets, Nick. You gotta try everything. Have you seen the ticket sales? They're not moving the way they expected.
What if Rollins doesn't have a WrestleMania match? What if he's pissed and he comes out on Raw the next night, right? And that's when Cody. I don't know. I don't want to pretend to know Cody too well or anything,
right?
But I do have like a sense of like how his mind kind of works after seeing so many stories for so long about his decision.
Right.
Coming back at WrestleMania in front of like 100,000 people seems like a kind of statement thing, right?
Yeah.
For Cody, like going from AEW to the next time you see him is in front of 100,000 people, bright lights, lasers, fireworks, a pack of pharaohs. He's like,
okay, when you put it that way, Nick, now I'm like, okay, return him at Mania.
Wearing a jetpack, flying the American flag all around the arena. Like, that seems like Cody's vibe, right?
In my head right now is just like adrenaline in my soul and the lights going crazy. Now you got me all hyped. Return him at Mania. I'm with you now. You changed my mind.
Seth Rollins, why don't I get to have a match? He's running around in the ring. Why don't I get to have a match? I'm Seth Rollins. I'm the WWE.
Yeah.
There's more than one royal family in pro wrestling. I'm telling you. Maybe
that would be excellent. See, I have a business management degree, so I'm thinking of ticket sales. I'm thinking of the business aspects of things. That's why I'm like returning the Monday before, but that will be the moment, like the ultimate moment. And you know they love to sell WrestleMania for the moments. It's not for WrestleMania. They just love to make these moments that will play on video packages forever. That will be one of those.
I think it's going to be something like the Monday before, like lights out, lights come up. And like it's Pharaoh sitting in the ring, just like staring at Rollins. You don't get Cody, right? Remember when we had like Vanguard 1 teasing Matt Hardy was coming to AEW? It's gonna be like the boots he left in the ring, right? It's gonna be like the coat. You're gonna see little Cody-isms. Brandy's just
you're making this too good. You're making Brandy, the baby, their little daughter is gonna be in the middle of the ring.
Brandy wrote, Brandy's just like, it's like, what? Why? What? Okay. Cut people's hair off.
Listen, I think the benefit of the moment will be absolutely insane if they do it the way that you're pitching. You got me to change my mind. The fan in me would like to see it that way.
I personally would prefer what we both been discussing, which is a well-built program going into WrestleMania. But part of me thinks that the next visual image Cody might want is coming out on top of a stack of American Eagles.
He's gonna be flown in by all these eagles just floating above him.
An actual video in-person introduction from George Bush, rest in peace HW, George Bush. A hologram of Ronald Reagan just giving him the go sign. Go, 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 Gipper. Do it for the Gipper.
Oh my God. It will be the most American. And it's in freaking Cowboy Stadium. Like, it's so perfect.
Sure. Yeah, that's why George Bush is doing it. Like, I love wrestling. Yeah, of course, I'll be there.
Yeah, why not?
All right. We'll wrap it there with that ridiculous imagery. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be joined by TK Trinidad. Of course, Paul Pratt will be here with Jeff Jarrett. If you like the Wrestling Inc. Daily, find us on whatever podcast platform you frequent. Nice comments, 5-star ratings. Help us find new listeners and viewers. Check out Wrestling Inc. We got our Twitter back because damn the man can't keep us down forever at Wrestling Inc. for life over on Twitter. And, of course, come back tomorrow night after SmackDown for the Wrestling Inc. podcast. It's like this, but at night, different people. All right, Issa.
After SmackDown, because Rampage tomorrow starts way too late, so we are doing the podcast after SmackDown, and we won't be covering Rampage.
Good. Yeah. Send in a message. Don't run your show so late. Maybe we'll give it more time on our valuable platform. Issa, anything you want to put over here before we wrap up the show today?
Subscribe to my YouTube channel, NYC Demon Diva. And happy St. Patrick's Day. Keep your green on, Nick. Do not take it off. Oh my God. Where did you come up with that?
This is my doesn't every adult man have a giant green kazoo on his desk?
No.
And these are Okada bucks. I'm just picking up everything green on my desk right now. It's
I
just
have Shane McMahon bucks from WrestleMania 32.
okay. It's just like the Return to Oz. I'm at Nick_Hausman. If you got that reference, it was a deep cut. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked, you didn't.